So some of you may have seen my video on how to install the Tesla Model 3 rear spoiler a while back. Well, I didn't do it quite right and I had to reinstall it, so I thought it was worth documenting the process. If you haven't seen that video, then this video still stands as a good tutorial as to how to install, but maybe jump forward a minute or two until I've got the old spoiler off. So here it is, the spoiler. I think it looks really great on the Model 3. And the problem I was having is that I was just getting a little bit of a gap between the spoiler and the boot lid, and then water was getting in there because I didn't quite do it right. To get the spoiler off, I have used this technique before. Use a bit of strong fishing line and you can just then almost cut the tape behind the spoiler quite easily just by pulling the fishing line through, and it doesn't seem to damage the paintwork, which is great. I know that they use this technique to get off badges if you're ever debadging a car. Then it was just a case of pulling off the existing spoiler and then getting rid of all the gunky tape that was left on the car and on the spoiler. It's quite easy, mine hadn't cured that much, so you could just use my thumb just to roll it off. Although it did leave me with sore thumbs for a few days afterwards doing this. So you've got to just make sure it's all off the car, and then I'm just using my trusty old rag and some degreaser to make sure that any grease or oils from my finger was removed before sticking the new one. It's a good reminder then why I'm installing the spoiler. I just think it looks so much better with it. The back of the car looks really plain without it, and I think it's a really nice touch having the spoiler. So it's degreasing time, just making sure you get off any oil residue so that the new tape will stick properly. And I did the same on the inside of the spoiler as well, using gloves here to make sure that my any oil residue on my fingers doesn't get on the spoiler. Then it's 3M tape time. So the important lesson that I've learned is that you should tape in one continuous bit along the top and one continuous bit along the bottom, and you'll see why shortly. But I was just making sure to get it as close to the edge as possible, one along the top, one along the bottom, and then just trimming off the excess at the end. Now, because I applied a little bit too much degreaser, it wasn't adhering that well when I first started applying it. So just trimming off the excess here and making sure it's neat at the ends, and then just using the hairdryer to cure the glue, the adhesive. And I've just seen online that this works quite well with a heat gun, but I don't have a heat gun, so just using a trusty hairdryer. This worked really well at getting the glue to go off and to really set onto the spoiler. Then it's a case of putting it in the middle of the back of the car, so I'm just using a bit of tape to hold it in position and then marking the far left and far right sides. Now this is the important bit. You just pull back a little bit of the tape on one side, top and bottom, line it up very carefully, and then push that tape onto the car. That then gives you the ability to move around the whole rest of the spoiler to make sure it's in position. You then simply just unpeel the tape with it in position, and that's the key difference to what I did last time. And you see that it comes out really easily and it then stays in place. It's also why it has to be one continuous bit so that you can then pull it out. It's a little bit tricky at the end here, it did snap off, but I managed to get all of the tape out. Then I'm just using the hairdryer again just to heat up that tape and hope that the adhesive sets and goes off so that it's nice and firm on there. And it doesn't do the same thing again with water getting in. So just making sure that it's set all the way along. Then I'm just using a bit of tape to hold it in position for an hour or two and just let the adhesive set. So just pulling it tight into the car. And then that's it, I'm done. I let it sit like this for an hour, didn't drive the car, and then come out and pull the tape off. And there we go. And as I'm recording this voiceover a few weeks later, it's there firmly in position and it's a much better job than it was first time round. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you have, it will help others find it too. And subscribe as well, I've got lots of Tesla content on the way if you're interested in hearing that. Cheers.